Hello everyone and welcome back to the Iraqi Dinar News channel. Today we are diving into a story that has people talking across the world. If you have been following news about Iraq's economy, you know there are always rumors, speculations, and bold predictions. But this time, there's one number that has captured everyone's attention. That number is 750. Yes, you heard it right. 750 Iraqi dinars for $1. The idea alone is sending shockwaves through financial conversations. Whether you are an investor, an Iraqi citizen, or someone just curious about world currencies, this number feels like more than just another rumor. It feels like the possibility of a turning point. So stay tuned, because in this video we are breaking down why this number has become so important, why people cannot stop talking about it, and what it could mean for Iraq and the global economy in 2025. Let's start with the basics. For many years, the Iraqi dinar has struggled to hold strength against the dollar. This is not surprising when you look at Iraq's history over the past few decades. The nation has faced wars, sanctions, political instability, and massive economic challenges. Through all of this, the dinar often remained weak compared to international currencies. But now, the talk of 750 dinars per dollar paints a very different picture. Imagine for a moment what that would mean. It would mean the dinar is no longer stuck in a cycle of decline. Instead, it would be climbing upward, gaining ground against the world's most powerful and widely used currency. That shift would not just be about numbers on an exchange chart. It would be about confidence, credibility, and the world's trust in Iraq's financial system. Confidence is the key word here. A currency's value depends on many things: economic stability, government policies, global trade, and of course the trust of the people using it. Without confidence, no currency can survive strong for long. That's why this figure of 750 has such a powerful effect. It represents the idea that Iraq is no longer a struggling nation financially, but one that is rebuilding, reforming, and stepping onto the global stage with strength. People who hold Iraqi dinars today feel a spark of hope, thinking maybe this is their moment. For years, investors have waited for real movement. Every small adjustment in exchange rates has been followed closely. But this number feels different. It feels bold, it feels ambitious, and it feels like the symbol of something much bigger happening behind the scenes. Supporters of this idea point to the reforms Iraq has been working on. The banking sector has been receiving major updates. Technology is being introduced to modernize transactions. For example, Iraq has rolled out national ID-linked debit cards that citizens are now using for daily payments. When people buy groceries, pay bills, or even enjoy a cup of tea, they're doing it digitally through these cards. And what's important here is that the transactions happen in dinars, not dollars. Why is that so significant? Because the more digital payments take over, the less physical cash circulates in the economy. That means fewer giant stacks of 25,000 dinar notes floating around. And when a country reduces its note count, it sets the stage for stronger currency management. It's like tightening the supply of money, which opens the door for a possible shift in value. Now, if Iraq is truly preparing for something like a redenomination or even a full revaluation, the shift to digital payments makes sense. Think about how modern economies operate today. In the United States or Europe, nobody walks around with sacks of coins or piles of bills. People swipe cards, tap phones, and make instant transfers. Iraq seems to be moving in that same direction. Every time a citizen swipes their national card, Iraq's economy becomes more streamlined. And a streamlined economy is easier to adjust, easier to reform, and easier to present to the world as stable and modern. That's why some people believe this focus on digitalization is not random. It could be part of a carefully planned roadmap to prepare Iraq for a stronger dinar. Still, we must also talk about the skeptics. Not everyone is convinced that 750 dinars per dollar is realistic right now. Many point to the political struggles that continue to weigh heavily on Iraq's progress. Corruption remains a challenge, and security issues often distract from economic growth. These factors cannot be ignored. A sudden and sharp jump in currency value would require incredible stability, and Iraq is still working towards that. Skeptics argue that even if Iraq has the oil wealth, the reforms, and the technical guidance from international groups, the path is still long. They believe that the number 750 might be more of a dream than an immediate reality. But even then, the fact that people are openly discussing it shows how much hope exists within the Iraqi financial story today. Oil remains the heart of this conversation. Iraq's oil reserves are massive, and oil is still in demand worldwide. Every barrel exported brings billions into the economy. But here's the challenge. For years, that wealth did not always translate into stronger living standards or a stronger dinar. Much of it was lost in inefficiencies, mismanagement, or political gridlock. But if Iraq can harness its oil wealth wisely, the potential is enormous. A stronger currency at 750 would mean the oil-backed dinar has global credibility. Would tell international investors that Iraq has learned how to control and direct its resources properly. And when oil money supports a currency, that currency often becomes a force in global markets. Let's talk about what this would mean for ordinary people inside Iraq. Imagine you are a worker earning wages in dinars. Right now, many Iraqis struggle with the cost of imported goods. From groceries to electronics, so much depends on the dollar. But if the dinar strengthens to 750 per dollar, suddenly imports become more affordable. Families could stretch their wages further. Parents could buy more food, better clothing, and improved living supplies without their wallets feeling so empty. This creates ripple effects across society. When people feel more confident financially, they begin trusting banks more, saving more, and investing more. That trust spreads into the wider economy, strengthening it further. So, this figure of 750 isn't just about speculation or investor dreams. It's about real life for millions of Iraqis who want stability and growth in their daily lives, of course. We must remember that big numbers can sometimes create big illusions. Just because people talk about 750 doesn't mean it will happen. Tomorrow, the path to stronger currency is rarely fast. It's usually a process of small steps, careful moves, and long-term strategy. Some believe Iraq could surprise the world with a sudden leap, like a lightning strike. Others believe the journey will be slow, like a cautious climb up a mountain. Both possibilities exist, but no matter what, the phrase 750 per dollar has now become part of the conversation. It is a symbol of hope, a figure that people can rally around, and a number that refuses to disappear from financial discussions. When people imagine this shift, they also think about Iraq's place in global economics. Could Iraq become a regional powerhouse? Could it compete with major economies in the Middle East? History shows that currencies do rise and fall. Once the British pound was the world's most dominant currency. Later, the US dollar took that role. Now, people wonder if regional currencies like the dinar could rise to new importance. Maybe not as a global king, but as a serious regional player with strength and credibility. If Iraq hits 750 per dollar, it would be a major signal that the nation is no longer just recovering from conflict, but actively shaping its financial destiny. The global reaction to such a shift would also be interesting. Investors outside Iraq are always watching. Some have been waiting years, holding on to dinars quietly, hoping for a moment like this. A strong dinar would suddenly make Iraq a more attractive destination for foreign investments. Companies might consider setting up branches or partnerships in Iraq. Banks might become more interested in cross-border deals. All of this would fuel economic growth even further. Confidence builds confidence. That's the cycle. Once the world sees Iraq as a safe and profitable choice, It creates a momentum that can push the nation into an entirely new chapter of development. But before we get carried away, it's also important to note the risks. Iraq still faces security concerns, both internal and external. Political divisions sometimes slow down the progress of reforms, and the global oil market itself is unpredictable. If oil prices fall suddenly, Iraq's leverage could weaken. Is why many experts say the road to 750 will not be simple. It will take discipline, strong governance, and a lot of patience. However, none of these challenges erase the possibility. They only remind us that currency shifts are tied to many moving parts. And right now, Iraq seems to be moving more pieces into the right place than ever before. The conversation also tells us something deeper about human nature. People want to believe in change. They want to believe in a brighter future. It's why even unconfirmed numbers like 750 spread so quickly. In coffee shops, on online forums, in investor groups everywhere, people keep repeating the number. It becomes almost like a chant, a mantra, a shared dream. They believe that if they say it enough, if they hold on to it long enough, maybe it will come true. This is the psychology of hope in financial markets. It's not just about money, it's about identity, pride, and the desire for stability in a world that often feels uncertain. For Iraqis, the thought of a stronger dinar is more than just economics. It's about national pride. A powerful currency gives a nation a louder voice in global conversations. It shows the world that Iraq is not defined only by conflict or instability, but by potential and progress. A shift to 750 per dollar would be a statement. It would say, Iraq is back. Iraq is strong. Iraq is ready. That's why this story matters so much. It's not just about investors or speculation. It's about an entire nation seeing itself differently, and the world seeing Iraq differently too. Now, let's zoom back into the present moment. What's actually happening on the ground in 2025? Iraq is expanding digital systems. Citizens are adopting the national payment cards more widely. Banks are aligning with international technical standards, and conversations about currency reform are happening louder than ever before. All of these details may not sound dramatic individually, but together, they paint a picture. They suggest that Iraq is preparing step by step for something significant. The exact timing is unknown. The final decision rests with government leaders, central bankers, and global financial partners. But the signs of preparation are hard to ignore. For now, the number 750 remains both a rumor and a dream. It has not been confirmed, but it cannot be dismissed either. Because once an idea enters public imagination this strongly, it tends to stick around. Investors keep refreshing their news feeds. Citizens keep hoping their wages will buy more. Financial analysts keep debating whether this is possible or not. In a way, the speculation itself is reshaping how people view Iraq. Instead of just thinking of it as a land of challenges, they are beginning to see it as a land of potential. And that shift in perception is powerful all by itself. Every major change in history began first as a conversation. Today, the talk of 750 dinars per dollar is that conversation for Iraq. It is the idea that maybe this is the turning point. Maybe this is the beginning of a stronger future. And even if the actual number takes time to arrive, the fact that it's being discussed is already progress. It shows that people are willing to believe in Iraq's rise. They are willing to imagine an Iraq that can stand tall in the global economy. That imagination is fueling excitement, energy, and endless debates. And it is keeping the Iraqi dinar story alive day after day. So where does that leave us? Right here in the middle of hope and skepticism. Some say it's just another dream that will fade away. Others say this is the start of something historic. Either way, the number 750 has already made its mark. It has captured the imagination of thousands, if not millions. It has reshaped how Iraq is viewed not just by investors, but by ordinary people worldwide. And whether this figure becomes a reality tomorrow, next year, or many years down the road, one thing is certain: the conversation is not going away. The story of the Iraqi dinar is still unfolding. And 750 per dollar remains the symbol of that unfolding story today.